Good evening, Azusa families and guests. Welcome to our Azusa Unified School District open session. Today it is April 13th, 2021, and it is our first meeting for April. We are going to go ahead and open with our flag salute, and it will be led by Aaliyah Torres from Murray. Welcome, Aaliyah. We're ready when you are.
Good evening, Azusa Unified School District board members and everyone in attendance. My name is Aaliyah Torres. I am a sixth grader at Murray Elementary School, and I will be leading you in the flag salute. Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aaliyah, for leading our board meeting today with the flag salute. Moving on to 4.2, doing roll call. We have board member Rodriguez Pena.
Present.
We have board member Shilonin Cruz Gonzalez.
Here.
We have board member Sabrina Bowe.
Here.
We have board member Adrian Greer.
Here.
And board member Arianis, I'm here. There's 5 of us here. Great. We'll go ahead and move to agenda item 4.3. And I would like to get a motion to approve the agenda with the following changes. We would like to go ahead and table 9.3 and 12.6 to April 20th board meeting. Can I please get a motion to approve the agenda with those exceptions?
I make a motion to approve.
We have a first by board member Rodriguez Pena. Can I please get a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by board member Shilonin Cruz Gonzalez. And we can please go to vote.
Can you repeat what were the 2 items?
Yes. The 2 that are being tabled are 9.3 and 12.6.
Thank you.
We can go ahead and submit our vote, please. Okay, and it passes 5-0. Moving on with our agenda, we have 5.6, the recognition of the Parent Advisory Committee, PAC Plus. We have a guest with us tonight. We have Senator Susan Rubio joining us, and I see that she is on. Welcome, Senator, to our board meeting.
Yes, hello. Well, thank you so much. I'm always happy to stop by and say hello to all of you. And I just want to commend you for all the incredible work you've been doing during the pandemic. As an educator, as you all know, for 17 years, I cannot thank you enough. The teachers, administrators, I know it's been a very heavy task in the last year, but you've done this wonderfully. And so I'm so proud to be here to acknowledge your Golden Bell Award from the California School Board Association in the category of Parent Advisory Committee Plus. And again, that only speaks to your commitment, your dedication for our students and our parents who also need guidance during this time. I had a webinar yesterday, and I actually engaged one of your employees, one of your teachers, and she was phenomenal. So I already know that you're doing a tremendous job in what you do. So congratulations. I know that my staff already dropped off a certificate for all of you, but I just wanted to read the certificate if I may. And the certificate reads, this is on behalf of the California State Senate. It is my honor to present you with the certificate of recognition for your prestigious award, your stakeholder engagement, commitment, and how effectively you become a model for other schools. I applaud your commitment to collaboration, transparent decision-making, your investment and tireless commitment to our children and their education which has fostered our next generation of leaders. So congratulations. I always want to stop by to say that we are watching, we are acknowledging. Sometimes I know the work is heavy and we feel no one's paying attention, but I've had the opportunity already to not only engage some of your teachers, some of your administrators, and they speak very highly of the leadership. And just based on the work, it's very evident that you guys are phenomenal. So I look forward to stopping by as soon as we can do so, safely, of course, to say hello and really recognize all of you collectively, and want to say to our parents out there, we also want to commend you for your patience. Yesterday, the webinar I had was surrounding the issue of anxiety for parents and students as we come back. A lot of our children are having anxiety. Parents are having anxiety. They've been together with their children for an entire year almost. So it takes a little bit of time and it takes a little bit of patience. So we were able to give parents and school administrators some guidance and tips, and hopefully we can do one in your district in person one of these days. So thank you to the president of the board and school board members for allowing me always time to say hello and speak to you. I will continue to be an advocate in the educational field. Right now we're pushing for policies and funding and everything that I know you will need as you continue to open schools and making sure that our teachers and our students have what they need. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Rubio, for your parents and for the certificates, for acknowledging that our district is working hard, and not only at, from the top, but all around the teachers, our CSEA employees, and making this work through this pandemic. So we look forward to seeing you at our district soon, like you said, to come visit. And thank you so much for what you do and for being a leader in our community.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and go to 6. We're going to move on the agenda to 6.1, public comment on agenda or non-agenda items. Do we have anyone in attendance that has raised their hand for public comment?
Yes, we do. First, we have Vicki Davis. You may unmute your mic.
Thank you so much, board. My name is Vicki Davis, and I am an English teacher at Azusa High School. And today I would like to talk to you about honoring Mr. Dave Lewis. Since his passing, the Azusa High School staff has been talking about how we can honor a man who led a life of service. There has been an enormous outpour of support by the Azusa community, including Azusa High School staff, students, alumni, and drama boosters, to have the little theater on Azusa High School campus be renamed in his memory. At this time, we have the support of over 1,000 people who have requested we rename the theater in his honor. Mr. Lewis served AUSD for over 30 years as a drama teacher and a counselor. His contributions went beyond being a teacher. He was the heart of the drama program. He worked tirelessly to raise funding to keep the program running smoothly and provide scholarships to drama students. He generously gave of his time and self. No matter what time you came to campus, Mr. Lewis could be found on campus. From early in the morning, 0 period in the theater, late afternoon on rehearsal days, and even on weekends, he was planning a play. His joy for life and tenacity to help others was shared with all. As a counselor, he was compassionate, supportive, and caring. One of my current sophomore English students was telling me that even when he got in trouble, he knew Mr. Lewis was there to help him find his way. This sophomore student said that Mr. Lewis could even make serving detention a learning experience that was fun. Mr. Lewis had a way of making everyone feel supported. As a teacher, I visited his office on numerous occasions to discuss a student. I always left his office feeling better than when I entered it. And that is because he cared about not only the students, but the entire staff. His passion for helping students reach their full potential, his positive interactions with colleagues, his dynamic personality will be missed. Please help us honor an exceptional educator, colleague, and friend by naming the Azusa High School Theater the Dave H. Lewis Theater for the Performing Arts. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vicki Davis. Next, we have Ms. Esther Campos Ball.
Good evening, board member Arianes and the rest of the board members and the cabinet. I am once again, like Vicki Davis, going to be speaking to you in favor of renaming Azusa High's Little Theater after Dave Lewis, our beloved counselor, who, as many of you are aware, we recently lost unexpectedly. I would like to piggyback on what Mrs. Davis has said about Mr. Lewis, sorry. Mr. Lewis always had such a wonderful smile on his face. He was always there to help students, colleagues. You could walk into his office and knock on the door, and he always greeted you with a smile and was there to support you and help you in any way, shape, or form, whether you were a student, a colleague, or administration. He was always there for you. Mr. Lewis was our drama program. He was, that drama program at Azusa High School functioned because he gave 110% of his life to that program. And what a great way for us to honor him than to have the theater renamed after him under David H. Lewis Theater for the Performing Arts. I know that it's not very often that we consider naming any building within our district after someone, but I would implore you to please consider when you have to vote on the issue to rename the theater after Mr. Lewis. He gave, like I said, his life to our students, our drama students, our alumni who kept coming back to assist him year after year after year, to the community. Our theater program at Azusa High is Mr. Lewis. He is our drama program. And with that said, like I said, I would appreciate it when the time comes where we present this for a vote, that you highly consider the impact that Mr. Lewis has made, not only for our students, our alumni, our community, and Azusa High School. Thank you, board members.
Thank you, Ms. Esther Campos Ball. Our next speaker, we have Amber.
Hi, yes, this is Amber Fish, and I just wanted to take a moment to reach out to our board regarding the increased violence against our Asian communities as of lately. We haven't seen a statement put out from our district, and that's a little disappointing given our goal to be more diverse and inclusive. I did see that Ms. Bo put out a statement on her personal Facebook page, and also our Azusa City has commented on discouraging racism, specifically against our Asian communities as well. And I'm really disappointed that it's been a while and we still haven't seen anything from our school board. We need to stand up and show the school district as a community that we are here for them, that the school board is here to show support if needed, give people a place to look for answers if they have questions or need support. And I'd really like to see some kind of action taken from our school board that gives members of our community a place to look in these uncertain times where we face so much racial inequalities and hate crimes as of lately. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Amber. Next, we have Patricia Sanchez.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I'm going to be a little emotional, but I'll get through this. I'm here today to speak about a gentleman who has been an important figure not only to my family and myself, but to many of our students, parents, and peers. This man supported and positively affected all those who had the pleasure of crossing his path. At Azusa High School, he was one of the first staff members to arrive and the last one to leave campus. He dedicated his life to his profession as a counselor and a drama teacher, not only to the students of Azusa High School, but to his peers. He helped and guided anyone who worked with him, in anything he needed. His devotion to his faith was ever present in all he did for everyone. He had become a grandfather, a father, and a brother role model to some, but an amazing friend to many. These words don't justify the man and all the memories we created together with him. As you know, a few alumni of his drama club, David Ochoa, Damian Lopez, and Jacqueline Sanchez, created a remembrance of Mr. Lewis on the east wall of the theater. It reads, David H. Lewis, 1962 to 2021. He took the stage and left a legacy. That was and always will be Mr. Lewis. On behalf of the Drama Booster Club, we ask the Board of Education, Superintendent, and Cabinet to please consider changing and dedicating the name of the Little Theater at Azusa High School to David H. Lewis Theater of the Performing Arts, in remembrance of Mr. Lewis for serving over 30 years with AUSD, along with the love and hard work he gave all of us on and off the stage. May he rest in peace. We love you, Mr. Lewis, and will never forget. Forever your drama family. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patricia Sanchez. Next, we have Ms. Meg Savella.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I have good evening, board members and cabinet. I have two requests. First, I'd like to ask if we could please have a moment of silence at the end of the school board meeting in honor of Mr. Dave Lewis. And then my second request is to have you somehow pull or explain or defer the approval of the contract with ROP for leasing out the former Sierra High School site. As an association leader, I'm very concerned, and my executive board, as the elected leaders of our teachers, are also very concerned about the fact that we are only leasing out that space for $78,000 a year. We have been very patient about waiting for what is going to be done with these sites that have been closed. And we have been consistently told and have put our faith into the prospect of trying to look for best ways to generate income with these properties. We've been told that a one-stop shop of just selling them is potentially not the best way, and that we can find better ways. And we have put our faith in that effort and have not seen any returns. I'm sure that you have plans that we don't know about that are discussed in closed session, and maybe we could just hear about some of those things. But I really believe that for Sierra High School and that humongous property, even if you're only leasing out a portion of it, $78,000 a year is just a drop in the bucket. I appreciate the effort, the movement forward to do something with the property. I just feel that, one, we need to know more about what the plans are, and two, why such a low cost, low price, low, the income generation is not anything what I would have anticipated, expected from us trying to best use that property to generate funds for our students, our staff, our community. So I'd like you to consider that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Meg Savella. Next, we have Cecilia Li. Are you present?
Yes, hello, thank you. First off, condolences for Mr. Lewis. I never knew him, but he seemed to be an amazing community member and teacher. So good evening, everyone. I'm Cecilia Li, preferred pronoun she, her, ella. I'm a parent of 2 students attending school here in the district and a previous elementary educator. In November 2020, a board meeting had numerous presentations from various organizations on the importance of anti-racism in our district and how we can bring more diversity, inclusion, and equity in our district to ensure all students feel safe and supported. Members of the board seem enthused and on board with the theology behind each of the presentations. I'm here today calling on our board members and district to move beyond theology and hold the board accountable to take action. I'm aware that since then, a DEI committee has been made, but further and more immediate action is necessary. 2 days ago, another Black man lost his life to systemic flaws. For the past few months, our Asian American and Pacific Islander siblings have experienced increased violence and deaths. It is critical that our district makes a statement condemning racism, showing the Azusa Unified School District value of being student-centered. We have Black, Brown, Asian American, and Pacific Islander, and many other students of color that need to hear and know that they are safe and that their community cares for them and their families. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people need a basis of safety before working towards self-actualization. Our students need to know they are safe. Additionally, before spring break, during the drop-off of one of my children, I overheard a substitute telling a crying preschooler, quote, "Calm down, big boys don't cry." This was not my child, yet I felt the impact. I've spoken to the principal, yet I bring this here tonight to exemplify concern over racism and gender bias in our district. This isn't the first I've heard of discrimination. In discussion with other parents, as well as high school students in our district, I've heard of incidences of bias and discrimination based on language, race, gender, and religion, to name a few. I ask for the following action items from the district. 1, this week, create a statement condemning xenophobia and racism and discrimination and stating solidarity with students, families, community members, and all individuals impacted by racism, bias, and hate crimes. 2, commit to immediately searching for anti-racism and bias training for all staff of the district. I request training begin no later than the return to school of the 21-22 school year, potentially sooner. May this training be ongoing and eventually open to the community at large. 3, create a system for students and parents to report such incidences, both online and in person, and in multiple languages for accessibility without fear of consequence, and have a standard operation of procedures to investigate individuals who show racism and/or bias, as well as tracking of how many occurrences. Finally, I've seen that the California education officials have received verbally that there may be the option to forego standardized testing and option for local assessments pending confirmation. If the Department of Education approves, I encourage our board to option out-of-state testing and focus on local assessment to not lose class time and maintain focus on the social and emotional needs of students as mentioned before by the board. I will be emailing the statement and all board members by tomorrow and will be following up on board meetings and emails. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Loiza. Next, we have Ellen French.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we could hear you.
Great. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to talk for a moment about renaming the Azusa High Theater the David H. Lewis Theater. I myself am an alumnus of Azusa High. I graduated in 2001, and I had the pleasure of working under Mr. Lewis in a drama production back in 1999. And the way he was so passionate about drama and strived to get the best out of his students, whether they were actors or part of the technical crew, he always found a way to have them take their performance to another level, so to speak. I myself was a tech, and I was actually a very shy person back in those days, and Mr. Lewis, whether he knew it or not, really helped me sort of come out of my shell, so to speak. And speaking from experience, he taught me various lessons I've carried through some 20 years after I've graduated, one of them being how to accept constructive criticism, and another is to try new things. The reason that I ask that you consider renaming the theater in his honor is because he founded the drama program. When he first started at Azusa High, there was no drama program, and he received permission to become the drama teacher, and he also was the man responsible for discovering what we now know as the Theater for the Performing Arts. And it was through his relentless passion and work ethic that he created the theater for what it is we know it today. I mean, it's very top notch, and the outpouring, as others have mentioned, has been absolutely phenomenal. I still keep in contact with friends that were in the drama program, and I was also friends with Mr. Lewis on social media. And the outpouring of memories, emotion has been nothing short of extraordinary. And because of his endless devotion to his students, for the positive impact he made through hundreds, if not thousands, of drama students, and for everything he did for the drama program, there would be no greater tribute to him than to rename it the David H. Lewis Theater for the Performing Arts. He has earned that honor, and he's nothing short of a legend of Azusa High. So I hope you all will consider renaming it in his honor.
Thank you, Mr. Allen French, for your comments. And Ms. Lika, is there anyone else?
We have no one else.
Great. We'll go ahead and move on to our next agenda item, 7.1, comments, reports, and requests by the Board of Education. We're going to go ahead and start with Board Member Rodriguez Pena.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. It's been a long time, but I'm back. And I just want to let you know that I went to, Powell Elementary, they had a really great poetry showcase with 5th and 6th graders. The students did a fabulous job, and you can hear the passion as they read their poems, and it was very touching. And I want to applaud these young children for really standing up and, you know, saying what they had to say, and they, just with their passion, it really touched me. A lot of these students that spoke out. Sierra High School, the winning of Modern Continuation High School again. I would like to congratulate the Sierra High School principal, Mr. Ken Stout, staff, students, and parents. And they have won this Modern Continuation, and all the past parents and all the past principals, administration, they have been winning this award since 2003. So they have programs at other continuations that I do know that do not have, and students have, you know, progressed there. And my own grandson went there, and he was a totally different person going in and coming out. And I want to thank Sierra High School for that. I see why they do win this award. And I want to congratulate Emily Reese, freshman at Azusa High School, for placing the top 7 in the Regional 15 Oratorio Contest, taking home a monetary scholarship. We're so proud of her, and we're glad that she's putting us on the map. And on a cold Friday morning, the Azusa Rotary Students Interact Club members, Leticia Perez from Gladstone High School and Emily Reese from Azusa High School, they came to deliver and distribute 100 care packages to the Pathfinder Ministry Food Bank. The community, they were very thankful. And I want to thank the students and the Rotary Interact Club. The opening of school meetings, I've been participating in them, and I want to thank the Superintendent Ortega, his cabinet, classified employees, certificated teachers, students, parents for all you do for AUSD. MOT, nutrition services for always being there, rain or shine, they're always there. I walk by Murray School, and there they are out giving lunches to the community. And for some crazy reason, during the pandemic, we've had crazy weather, but they're always there serving the community. And I want to thank everyone. You know, I sit here as a board member. You do all the hard work. I'm a policymaker, but you're doing all the hard work, and you're all the brains behind it. And I want to thank everybody for that. And I also, I'll get emotional, I'm sorry. You know, I want to close in memory of Mr. Dave Lewis, and that has passed away unexpectedly. He spent 30 years of his life at AUSD as a counselor, drama, and friends to many. He was very passionate about his work and helping students believe in themselves. I went to many of his plays. They were fantastic. The kids all did a great job. He gave the kids confidence and a place to be. I remember when he came out one time as Captain Hook, and he played a great Captain Hook with a patch in his eye, and he was all into it. So he was such a beautiful person, inside and out, and he will be truly missed. I am not sure how this is done, but oddly, I was thinking the same thing. I would like to propose that Azusa Unified names the Little Theater on Rockdale after Mr. Lewis. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Board Member Rodriguez Pena. Next, we have Board Member Cruz Gonzalez.
Thank you. I just want to say, I want to just express my appreciation to everyone, to all the staff, the classified employees who've been on our campuses since the outbreak stopped, the teachers who are now, who've been doing a yeoman's job throughout the year, but now are coming in and teaching in person, and then obviously our management, who've made it really a smooth process to have us come to in person. I know for me going to Hodge, it's been really smooth and easy to come to drop my son off and pick him up. So I just want to express my appreciation to everyone. I know it's we're still very difficult, and I hope that at some point we'll get back to normal. But for now, I just really want to express my appreciation to everyone for all that work. There's a couple other things that I have a couple questions. One, I wanted to ask in terms of process for the theater. Is that something that requires board action? Is that something that happens at the school site? You're saying yes, nodding yes for board action?
Yes, so according to our board policy, it would require board action. We have that authority based on the board has the authority to rename a part of the facility.
Okay, so I mean, I'll just second, I just echo Yolanda's request. Maybe we can put on the agenda for the next board meeting. So that's one. Two, I just wanted to call out Norma Camacho, because while I was on spring break vacationing, my colleagues at work had a conversation with her just to see what's happening with English learners, and they were just blown away with what Norma reported and what we're doing in the district. So I just want to express my appreciation to her, and then let her know, like, my colleagues had a meeting with the CD staff like the very same day, and so they were sharing what we're doing in Azusa with the Department of Education. So thank you so much for all the work that all of you do, especially around the English learner students. Then I just have two more things. With the testing piece, since the state did come out with the waiver, are we, and I don't think I've seen any public announcements, I just like an update on terms of process. I'm assuming you can give us that during your comments right now, in terms of where we are with it, in terms of what kind of assessments we'll be using for the annual assessments. Okay, great. And then I don't want to take it away from you, but I just want to say thank you, Sabrina, for the impetus for having the resolution that we have on today around xenophobia and calling out anti-Asian hate. So I just want to appreciate that just recognize that. Thank you for doing that, because I think it's a very important thing for us to do and make public statements. And I think we could think about, like, Arturo, you don't necessarily have to wait for the board to put out any statements for the district, right? Obviously, board action is very important, but we can also release statements in the interim. So I would just recommend that we do that maybe in the future. And with that, that's everything I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Cruz Gonzalez. Next, we have Board Member Bo.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. And thank you, Board Member Cruz Gonzalez. I do want to make sure that I acknowledge Board Member Rodriguez Pena. I think we just didn't communicate together, but Board Member Rodriguez Pena had also put in a similar request kind of at the same time to have this very important resolution come before us. And I think the point is, it doesn't matter who says it or how we do it, but that we work together. And I do echo your sentiment around, the important piece is not the who, but that we do take action. And so I'm excited to see the resolution on our docket for tonight. I'm also excited to, I know that we're postponing our diversity in hiring practices to our next meeting, which is going to be on the 20th of this month. That's something that I had requested back in January, and I know that we've got a lot of things going and things take time. So again, I'm gratified that we're continuing to hold ourselves accountable to move the conversation forward. On a little bit of a lighter note, this Thursday, AUSD is hosting a blood drive in partnership with Children's Hospital LA. We're going to be doing that at our Barranca campus. And I'm happy to kind of play a part in that, and also to be a first-time blood donor. And I say that because I've had some needle aversion in my life. And I think when we talk about it and saying, you know, hey, I'm going to sign up and be a blood donor, the more we can hear it and hear other people willing to do that, I think it just, that's part of what education is, you know, being a model for our students and our peers and colleagues. And then finally, just a small update. I don't have a lot of details yet, but I was recently asked to participate on an anti-hate panel in a community in Northeast Los Angeles. Internally, we don't have a date or anything like that, but as that, you know, we get more details about the forum and the format and all of those details, I really look forward to being able to share that back with our Azusa Unified community and our Azusa community. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. We move on to Board Member Greer.
Good evening, everybody. Have a handful of things to share out. One, yeah, just great job for the reopening and just everything that goes on to make that possible. I'll share and report directly from my daughter, who's in 4th grade. Her quote after these first couple days being in person were, even though it feels like we're in fish tanks, it is way better than she thought it was going to be. And so she's excited and glad and happy to be back in person and seeing her friends. And so just thanks for all the work that goes across the board, up and down the district. Great work. Let's keep it up. A couple of announcements. On Saturday, April 24th, there is going to be a DACA clinic that is being hosted at Foothill Community Church. It's in partnership with the Immigration Resource Center, Homework House, My Third Place, and Foothill Community Church. And it's going to be a clinic that's helping there will be attorneys and other folks present to help walk folks through that process. And so I want to extend a personal invitation. If there's anyone who is interested in that and hearing more information, you can reach out to me. My email address is agreer@azusa.org, or you can give me a phone call, which is 626-629-8061. If you have any questions whatsoever about any of that, please reach out, and I'd love to see how I can help get you connected and be part of that. The goal is for those clinics to be to happen on a periodic basis. So this will be the first one, but hopefully they will happen rhythmically throughout the year. I do also want to announce and share out that I will be finally hosting another online coffee on April 27th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. I had indicated that it has been my goal to host these once a month. And I was doing pretty good. It's pretty widely known by some. Back in January, got COVID, and I know different people respond differently to it. I'm just now getting kind of on the other side of it. And so it has definitely hung in there and lingered, but grateful to be able to get back into the rhythm. And so April 27th, it's a Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Again, feel free to reach out if you have any questions there, and I'll be posting it online and sending emails out to anybody who's on the list from having been to one previously. I would also like to echo the sentiment and in honoring Dave Lewis. I did not have the pleasure of knowing him personally, but through, the friends that I had when I was going to school here, as well as the students that I've served over the years, I've heard firsthand just the impact that he has made, and also the impact and that the news of his passing has caused on our community. And so I'd also like to echo, closing in honor. I'd echo having a moment of silence and also bringing the matter forward to look at renaming what needs to happen to rename the theater as well. Finally, I just want to make a brief comment on the tragic realities of racism that still exists. The tragic realities of xenophobia that just is in our world, and I think that there's no sufficient amount of statements that can be made or resolutions that can be drafted that will even come close to appropriately addressing just the extent to which hatred, racism, xenophobia is just repudiated, and there's no room for it in our society. There's no room for it in our community. There's zero room for that within our district. And so, yeah, I'm grateful as well to see the resolution that's here before us, as well as the other item, though we are postponing it, looking at diversity in our hiring practices. I agree. Let's examine and let's look through this resolution. Let's draft a statement, but let's also continue to look at the action that we need to take within our district to address this. And echoing some of the comments that we heard in public comment, I wouldn't want any student within our district to question their safety, to question their value, to question their worth here and what our stance on that is. And so let's begin with some of these statements and resolutions, but let's continue on through with definitive action. I'll just add, I just saw the email for this. I haven't spoken to anyone about it, but I did see an email that it appears that there will be a rally on April 24th at City Hall that it looks like is being hosted by Mayor Gonzalez around this very issue. And so wanted to share that out. I imagine that the news of that will spread, but this is not an Asian problem. This is not an Asian American problem. This is not a Black American problem. These are issues that we all have to face collectively as a society. And I'm grateful that we're serious and we'll do that in the coming weeks, months, and years.
Thank you. And I would like to go ahead and start with, echoing what many of you have been saying about Mr. Dave Lewis. I actually did have a chance to go to many of the productions and be there and see firsthand the impact he had on, in our students and in our community, his passion, his dedication, the amount of hours that he put into making drama and theater come alive at Azusa High is priceless. The amount of people, that now that, have graduated and have come back to visit, there's many. And so I do want to share with the board, with the public, that it's actually a discussion that Superintendent and I have already had about the little theater. And so there is protocol that needs to be followed. And I appreciate all of the board members being on board with, bringing this forth. And so moving forward, I know Mr. Arturo Ortega will go ahead and get that into play. And we will go ahead and do it, follow protocol on what needs to be done to carry this forth. So thank you all for everyone who spoke today, and my fellow board members who share the same sentiment in, for Mr. Dave Lewis. I also agree. I also have it here in my notes that today, I would also like to, I was going to close our meeting and have a moment of silence for all of us to be together at the end in honor and remembrance of Mr. Dave Lewis. Second, I am thankful, grateful to all of our staff, from from teachers to CSEA to adult school to special education. I mean, it's everyone who has made this transition for our students to come back in person. It's been, as one of our employees said, it was a show. It was a lot of work. And I realize that, and I see that firsthand. the transition was smooth on, the parents, what I saw on my end. I had my daughter, she was so excited. She could, she attends Dalton School, and she was so excited to see her friends, even if it was from far away, to be in a classroom with other students. She was so excited. She school. When I picked her up, she said, "Mommy, this is the best day ever. I love my school. I love my teacher and everybody who works here." And just making the kids feel so special that day. For all of you guys, thank you so much. My daughter loves being in person, and we thank you guys, our staff, for making this happen. And thank you, Cabinet, for putting this together. My request will be to please start thinking about summer school. I know that we are April 19th, middle school and high school will be opening, and we are going to go ahead and kick off this next Monday. But let's start thinking about summer school so we can have some information for our parents and teachers, and we can get that information as soon as you guys have that. I'm sure you guys are working on it, but if we can get this to the board as soon as possible, that would be great. And third, I would like to go ahead and invite everyone. I am partnering up with the council, Mayor Robert Gonzalez, on the Stop Asian Hate Rally, which is going to take place on Saturday, April 24th at 5:30 at City Hall. We have put a program together, and we look forward to seeing all of you guys, because just as my colleagues have expressed and others also have expressed, there's no room for xenophobia here. I personally heard about an event that happened actually in one of our schools yesterday, and I was very disturbed. And to me, zero tolerance. I have zero tolerance for any hate, like our board member Greer said. It's not just Asians, it's Black, it's any hate, LGBTQ. We should have zero tolerance for that and address it right away. So I feel very strongly about that. And I want to invite all of you guys on April 24th at 5:30 at the City Hall lawn. We will be there. And this is an invitation to all my fellow board members as well. Please come and help us unify here in Azusa to be able to go ahead and take a stand against all of this hate that's going around. And if you guys have any questions, you guys can email me at garellanes. So it's GARELLANES @azusa.org. And that's all I have for today. We can go ahead and move on to our next board item, which is 8.1, comments, reports by student board members, superintendent, and cabinets. In cabinet, we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Alex Arkenberg. Mr. Alex?
I do not see him here this evening.
Okay, great. We'll go ahead and move to Destiny Contreras.
Good evening. Gladstone is eager to see GLADS in person next week. This month is Autism Awareness, Sexual Assault Awareness, and Child Abuse Awareness Month. AUSD will be posting informational slides on these topics to spread awareness. Our impact project supporting low-income families is in motion. We are waiting to receive our percentage of the money we made from our boba fundraiser. We plan to use the money to order all needed supplies for our project. And once we receive these items, we will finalize a date in early May. The next ECP cohort for the class of 2023 will be 73 students. We are proud of the growth. Gladstone would like to honor Leticia Perez, who reached 5th place in statewide HOSA competition in the Cultural Diversity and Disparities in Healthcare category. Gladstone would like to recognize our graphic arts teacher, Jim Haig, who placed 2nd in Skills USA Teachers. Clearly, Mr. Haig is skilled and he expects to win it all next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Destiny, for those for letting us know what's going on at Gladstone High School. 73 students in the ECP. Wow, that's a great increase from the first year and last year. So thank you for sharing that with us. We look forward to hearing how how much more we can expand this program at Gladstone High School. So thank you. Next, we have Jacob Vasquez.
Good evening, everyone. Spring sports practice is going very well. Football, baseball, softball, tennis, track and field, soccer, and golf are practicing and working out for their upcoming seasons. Students are excited to be on campus. Our Aztecs are returning to school next Monday, April 19th for Tim's instruction. We are looking forward to seeing our Aztecs on campus once again. We will conduct class meetings on Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m. to discuss the returning of school policies and protocols. This Thursday at 2:45 and 3:30 p.m., we are conducting our weekly Cafe Azteca meetings. Leadership class will be working on making signs and posting information to welcome our Aztecs back. Azusa High School would like to recognize Mr. Lewis for his amazing contribution to our school site. He is going to be truly missed, and he inspired all his students to be the best they could. May he rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. Next, we have comments and reports by Superintendent and Cabinet.
Good evening. I would like to announce that on April 6th, the state of California notified school districts about new student standardized testing flexibilities for the 2021 school year due to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, distance learning, and return to in-person learning. California has given districts permission to use local standards aligned assessments rather than administering the CASP, which is the California Assessment of Student Progress and Performance. This spring, Azusa Unified will be using our local assessments in English language arts and mathematics to report the academic progress of students in grades 3 through 8 and 11 to families, the public, and the state. District assessment results will be communicated to families in late spring, and we will be communicating this out to all of our families and staff this week. Thank you.
Good evening, board members, staff, and community members. I just want to express my deep appreciation for all of our employees as we started the process for resuming in-person instruction. Our classified employees have done outstanding work throughout this entire pandemic, and they have been integral to the reopening of schools. Our teachers have learned to provide meaningful instruction to students virtually, and now our teachers are working to provide distance learning and in-person learning to our students. So appreciate that. And our site administrators have worked tirelessly to ensure that the many guidelines and protocols from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health have been implemented. I want to thank all of our employees for their hard work and dedication to the Azusa Unified School District and community. Thank you.
Evening, board and board president. I would like to use the opportunity to just toot our home. Toot, toot. We've had over 5 walks with LA Department of County of Health, and each time the question is asked, how did you guys do this? How long did it take you? Can we please take pictures? Where did you get this template from? How did you guys know these protocols? And that is just a testament to our leadership from our superintendent, I apologize, as well as collaboration from our cabinet, and then just the joint effort of all our staff members, from our MOT staff, nutrition services. When we were at Ellington, the representative, he was like, how did you guys come up with this grab and go? I mean, if you go to Ellington, each gate had designated point based off their grade spend, and that's across the board. We had one walk at Paramount, and the rep actually said, you know what? I was already at Murray, so I knew what to expect. So she knew exactly where to go in, and it was a quick wrap. It's just one of those that just shows that we put the investment in. They were very impressed with our scanners. They were very impressed with all our signage. They were impressed with our isolation room. They love our cots. They love the detail that we put into everything and the thought process. And I think overall, beyond the Department of Health being impressed, I think our faculty also sees the effort that we put in to show that we value them and appreciate them.
Thank you, Natasha. Good evening, everyone. I too want to echo my condolences and sadness for the passing away of Mr. Lewis. Just as a matter of consideration, we are going back to closed session. So maybe we want to do a moment of silence before we go to closed session, and then so that way people can be around to participate in that, and then end the meeting once we come out in his memory. I want to thank Senator Rubio for the PAC Plus recognition for coming out. Under Jennifer Edick Bryant's leadership, the PAC Plus continues to grow. It continues to get stronger. It continues to get better. And we are thankful for all of the members who contribute to its success. This is our first board meeting back since we have reopened schools. And I just wanted to share how excited I have been these last couple of weeks to see students, parents, and staff buzzing at our school sites. This was the first day of school. We had parents with their first day of school signs, taking pictures with their kids. We had balloons and banners, mascots. We had teachers in costumes, going all out for the first day of school. Like some of you have shared, I too have heard comments from students and from parents and from staff, for that matter, about how excited they have been to be back. So it's been, for me, it's been super duper joyous. Yesterday, we welcomed back our 3rd and 4th grade students to our campuses. And next week, we're going to be welcoming our 5th through 12th grade graders back. So we have been very, very busy at our secondary sites. Today, we spent the good part of the morning supporting them as they get ready to reopen. We did hold 2 town halls, one in English and one in Spanish, for the secondary reopening. And I am happy to announce that pretty much every single live question we were able to answer and to address. And for those of you, for those that didn't want to go live, we did take the questions to add them to our frequently asked question document. I just want to piggyback a little bit on Latasha. On her report. Again, it should be a source of pride for all of us that inspectors from the Department of Public Health are using the words exemplary, are using the words model, are using the words best practice, and wanting to share with other inspectors and other districts on what is happening here. As everyone has said, that is not because of a person or a person's. That is because the countless members of our staff that have made that possible. So thank you.
Great, thank you guys all for your comments. Next, we move on to our general functions. We're moving on to 9.1, Azusa High School, Academy of Engineering and Smart Materials, Adaptive Structures, and Intelligent Systems collaboration presentation. We have Mr. Frank Chang.
Good evening. Let me just get this thing on the screen. I hope everyone sees it. Just checking to make sure, does everyone see it?
You make it a little bit bigger, would that be okay?
I think if you go to presentation mode, I think that would make it larger, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to its corner right here. There we go. Okay. Okay, well, good evening, Board President Arianes, members of the board, Superintendent Ortega, cabinet members, and the Azusa Unified community. I am pleased that this evening we will have the opportunity to recognize career technical education students Your support, the board support, the community support, members of the cabinet, superintendent, your support in our CTE programs have been critical to their ongoing success. Tonight, you will hear about an amazing learning experience in which our students participated. I now would like to introduce Mr. Andres Del Real, teacher of Azusa High School's Academy of Engineering, who has done so much to build a program and facilitate these opportunities for our students. Mr. Del Real.
Thank you, Mr. Chang. Again, thank you. Good evening to everybody. Thank you, the board, cabinet members, for this great opportunity to have us to showcase the ongoing work that our Academy of Engineering students are doing. And we really appreciate this opportunity to showcase these students and show the community what Azusa High School is all about and all of our CTE programs are doing for our community. So we go ahead, Mr. Chang. So last fall, during the summer, we were approached with this great opportunity, like we mentioned, to work with professional professors and advisors to have students create a project and present at the annual Message conference that Dr. Kazuko Fuchi is going to talk about in a little bit. So we jumped at this opportunity. Mr. Chang presented it. I believe a board member approached him about it, and we definitely took this opportunity, and I approached the students with it, and they were enthused about working with professionals and the possibility to present at this conference. Oh, can you go back a little bit, Mr. Chang? Kazuko, if you could talk a bit about the presentation, the conference, please.
Mr. Del Real, do you want to introduce the people who are with you today?
Yes, that they were coming up. We have, if you go to the next slide, if you want, they're on the next slide. Okay. Dr. Fuchi, I think you're muted. Mr. Professor Peraza, maybe you could go ahead and start.
Yeah, sure. Perfect. So first of all, everyone, good evening. I hope everyone is having like an amazing week. And from what I've been hearing, maybe like the last few minutes, I think everyone is doing great at Azusa High School. So just a little bit about the SMASIS conference. It stands for the ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers. SMASIS stands for Smart Materials, Intelligent Systems, and Smart Structures. And this is a conference that happens every year from engineers from all over the world. You know, it has different locations. Last year, of course, and this year it will be online because of the current COVID situation. It normally brings about 300, 400 researchers specialized on smart structures. And of course, you know, we also focus on outreach and also collaborating with external people, especially this activity this this past year with Azusa High School was great. I believe Mr. Del Real is going to talk a little bit more about it.
So I can try to see if my
Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, sorry about the technical issue. My name is Kazuko Fuchi. I'm a research engineer at the University of Dayton Research Institute. I'm joining tonight from Dayton, Ohio. So we were looking for a collaborator on an educational outreach effort in the last year, and we got in touch with Mr. Del Real. And it's been great working with him and his students, especially in the last year. It was really important to work with people who are flexible, open-minded, and capable to be able to facilitate throughout this difficult new environment. And you will learn more about what the students will have done for the project, but I was particularly impressed by the students' ability to find the ways to collaborate with each other and do this engineering design process as a team in this new environment. Edwin, do you want to describe the project a little bit?
Sure, perfect. So just because I forgot, it's on the slides, but my name is Edwin Hernandez, and I am a professor at very close to you guys. I am in Irvine at the UC Irvine. So hopefully you can send your students here. I will be very happy to meet them. So of course, I'm wasting time. So let's go over the description of the project. So of course, this project was on on designing and developing packaging designs that will limit the damage in eggs. So, you know, like whenever we carry eggs, sometimes they go on the truck or something and they start undergoing a lot of vibrations, and sometimes there can be some shocks. And we don't want to break the eggs. So we wanted to be able to design different packages. In this case, these packages had to be inspired by origami. So, you know, folding paper. And sometimes when you fold paper in special ways, you are able to create small containers that can perhaps, our goal is that for them to be able to take the vibration and decrease it as much as possible so the egg is as protected as possible. So the students, they were given different constraints in terms of their design. So we said, okay, you have to use these particular materials, and your structure has to be on this size, obviously has to be very compact so it doesn't take too much space on the egg package. And, you know, it was very impressive. The students came up with first in teams, they start brainstorming different designs, and then they start, mentored by Mr. De Real. They start brainstorming different designs, and they start putting them into different categories. So is this good in terms of like size? Is this good in terms of like weight? Is this good in terms of like, paper material, etc.? And then afterwards, you know, they built some prototypes. By that I mean that they grabbed the paper and folded, and they did multiple tests. Like they did like a shock test, they did like a drop test. So it was like a full design experience, like normally exactly the experience that we normally undergo when we go into more complex engineering problems. So I think it was very fun also seeing all the videos of things getting dropped and hit, but and I'm pretty sure the students had a great time as well, and also learn about the design process that we do all the time in engineering.
Thank you, Mr. Peraza. Mr. Chang, if you could go back one so we can introduce the students. Students, go ahead and introduce yourselves and say a little bit about yourselves, please.
Hello, is my mic working? Okay. Hi, my name is Lisa Ng. I'm a junior from Azusa High School, and this is my second year in the NAP Engineering Academy. And over the past 2 years, I've learned a lot of technical skills such as programming, 3D modeling, effective sketching. This year, I'm in the Principles of Engineering course, where we're touching upon a lot of disciplines of engineering. In the future, I want to pursue a career in programming or cybersecurity. I'll pass it off to Osvaldo. I think Waldo might be having issues with his audio. Should I introduce him?
Go ahead, Lisa. Why don't you introduce Waldo?
Waldo's also my classmate. We've taken the same classes together. He's interested in, he's having technical problems. He's interested in pursuing something in mechanical engineering in the future. Some of his hobbies are photography and comic books. And we'll go to the next slide.
Waldo's design was based on the Mura Ori origami pattern, which was used in things such as the 1996 Spacefire unit. It was very effective while also being easy to build. One of its drawbacks was that it does take a very long time to build and to fold.
Lisa's design was based off of origami springs, and as seen below, it took some trial and error to find the right thickness of springs that would be both cost-effective and efficient. The pictures to the right show how the pressure on the spring from the books helped it hold its shape. Despite its resilience, the design is complicated and time-consuming to build. For the humidity compression test, the design was placed in a fridge overnight and undertook the same compression test to see if the design's humidity can impact its performance. Compared to the initial compression test, the new heights of each trial were not shorter than the initial test. For Lisa's model, for example, the design did not shrink more than the original test results.
For the second version of this test that utilized 1.58 pounds of weight instead of 1 pound of weight, the prototype suffered very minimal deflection, as seen in trial 2, which had a deflection of 0.25 inches. In terms of damage to the prototype itself, the only noticeable piece of damage was on the top edges where they had become more flat than they were when they were first made.
And here's some of our drop test videos from our team members Elizabeth and Oswaldo. As you can see in the video that Elizabeth is doing right now, she would drop the textbook of varying weights, and they would see which weight would finally crack the eggs, and the design would be considered a failure. Some valuable lessons I learned from this project was it's very important to keep communication in mind at all times, especially when you're working over Zoom or Google Meets or just in distance learning in general. What my group did, what Neil did, was that we set up Google Meets to work on during class together, and we also created a group chat where we would send pictures of our progress and discuss each other about the project. Some soft skills, which obviously include communication. We also learned valuable critiquing skills and academic discussion, where we would evaluate each other's designs to see which would better fit the criteria and the basis of this project. And one of my favorites of this project was the professional collaboration we had with our advisors. After we compiled all our data and all our videos onto our PowerPoint presentation, we sent it to our professional advisors to have for critique. And we would critique and improve our project even further. And I thought that was really cool to have some professional input on stuff that we're doing. And we can go to the next slide, please. I think Oswaldo is still having mic issues.
All right, thank you, Lisa. That was just a snippet of a presentation of five group projects that were highlighted tonight. So what's next for these students? One group or two groups is going to have the opportunity to actually present at the conference that was mentioned earlier. I think it was originally supposed to be in person, but it's going to be virtual this year, and probably the year after, hopefully it could be in person. So that's going to be in September. So we plan on collaborating again next academic year. It was a tremendous, great experience working with these great advisors that helped throughout the whole process. And Lisa is going to speak a little bit about the internships for this summer.
The K-12 Foothill Consortium internships, they're run by a woman named Amy Fole. She helps us gain industry connections through our NAF and CTE track. And we actually completed our first internship training today. We're going to have our next one next week, and we're going to start our application process and looking into some companies and job offerings and internship offerings as well. One of the internships I've already applied through this consortium is the LA Metro summer internship. We're gonna have a list of companies that are interested in us around the next following weeks. So then we'll see which ones that we're interested in, like the City of Hope or NASA. And a fun thing about the consortium internships is that once we complete these summer internships, we become CTE certified, and I believe that's the term, CTE certified. Yes. And some of that our partnership with NAF, the NAF Engineering Academy, actually give automatic interviews to students who are CTE certified through these summer internships. So it's a good step into the professional workforce.
Thank you, Lisa. Next slide. So really quickly, these are the group project links. If you have a chance, please take a look at them and provide some feedback for our students and myself and our advisors, and also links for the SMASES conference and the mechanical engineers website for more information.
Mr. Del Real, would you please email that to the board so we can take a look at that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a link here, and it's also on our school website, but I will definitely email it to you.
Thank you.
We would like to thank you for your time, board members, cabinet, community. I think it's really important for the community and everybody at the district to know what our students are doing. I mean, they're the ones on the ground. They're the ones basically getting out there, especially in CTE with the internships and these types of opportunities. I think those are the most, besides learning the theoretical things in the classroom, I think these are the types of things that are the most beneficial to them in their careers and whatever careers they want to pursue. So again, we'd like to thank you for your time and advisors. And if you guys, I don't know if we have time, but you could either forward me questions, or if we have time, students can answer, or anybody can answer questions right now, if time allows.
Actually, yeah, that would be great. I actually want to open up to our board members for any comments or questions. I can go ahead and start. I just want to congratulate you, Lisa and Osvaldo. That I've known you guys for quite some time. I see the dedication that you put into not only your schoolwork, your extracurricular activities, and when do you have time to do everything? This is like so fun. I see that you guys are dropping the eggs. My question is like, when do you have time, and how many cartons of eggs did you have to go through to get your variable for this project?
For the carton of eggs, I personally wasn't the team member in charge of breaking the eggs. My mom would have killed me if I did that. So we had Osvaldo and Elizabeth take the blow. And I think it was roughly just one carton of eggs, because once the eggs broke, the testing process would be considered over. The design had a failure. And thank you for your compliments.
Yes.
Thank you for your presentation. It was really great. I think that when you look for the internships, where do you go to look for your internships? Have you went to Northrop Grumman here in Azusa?
Well, we can't really explore internships in person. We get our internship opportunities through Amy Full with the Foothill Consortium. She emails us with every and any internship opportunity she gets through her partnership companies. Like I got forward me to an internship with LA Metro. I've applied to it, but I'm awaiting their response right now. And then the next following weeks, as we continue with our internship trainings, they'll give us a list of companies that are interested in taking high school interns from us.
I would like to comment a little bit about
Lisa,
that.
thank you.
The Foothill Consortium, through the grants that we have gotten, the CTIG, the K-12 Strong Workforce, was able to partner with the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, who hired Amy Full as a consultant to, in fact, look for internships of internship opportunities from local businesses and present it to all the consortium students. Last year was our first year in which we were able to have internships available, albeit it was virtual. This year it will be virtual again. Some of the internships that we were able to get have been in person, but the majority have been virtual. And this is a beginning stages, shall I say. And this is our second year, and I believe we have 6 partners this year, possibly 7. And we are continuing to build opportunities to ensure that all of our students and all of our pathways have an opportunity of an internship.
I have a question. So this is for both the students, and since Osvaldo is having technical difficulties, maybe he can type in his answer if he wants. So what, through the whole process from like brainstorming to design process to testing, what was the part that you liked the most? And what was the part that you felt was like the most difficult?
Is this a question for both me and Osvaldo?
For both, yeah, both of you. And if, I mean, since he can't speak, if he wants to type it in, that's great. That would be great.
Okay, I'll speak while he types his response in the chat. Okay, one of my favorite parts of the engineering process is the brainstorming. Oftentimes, of course, some of my designs won't make it into the final product, but I am a very artistic person, so I like to sketch out all my ideas and get it on paper. That way I can communicate it with my other team members what I'm thinking about. If you look on the PowerPoint slide, there's a slide full of my drawings and stuff of what I was what I had in mind for my design. And the hardest part is, I want to say, choosing the design. Like by myself, it would have been particularly hard for me to choose between my own designs because I'm a bit biased because I made it. But that's why we have team members, you know. So I enjoyed critiquing each other's designs and my own designs through the lens of my team members and picking which one would be best for the good of the team.
Thanks.
Do we have any? Okay, we have an answer from Mr. Osvaldo. It says the most difficult portion of the process was most likely the brainstorming part. This is mostly because it requires a lot of thinking, a lot of attempts in finding the best design. The most fun part was probably testing, since I was able to put our design to the test. Thank you, Osvaldo. Does anyone else on the board have any questions or comments? I would like to also share, this is exciting to see in Azusa. As a former student myself here of Azusa Unified School District, this is something, and I'll tell you guys that we've never done. This engineering program, all these things that we are offering our students. We're a competitive district, and I think a lot of the times, we just don't toot our own horn, and so I'm very appreciative of you guys presenting tonight, because you, Lisa and Osvaldo, and our fellow professors, Dr. Fucci and Dr. Hernandez and Mr. Del Real, by you being able to provide this for our students and expanding their horizons and being able to, to bring this forth, and Mr. Chang teaming up with Amy, the opportunities that are going to come forth to our students are just great. And I'm looking forward, Lisa and Osvaldo, to hearing about your journey and what else may come from this. And please keep sharing with us the great things that you guys are doing. So thank you so much. If there's no more comments or questions from our board, then we'll go ahead and move to our next item. Thank you again for your presentation, and good luck. And thank you for being here, Ms. Fucci. I know it's a different time zone where you're at, so thank you for staying up with us. We will be moving on in our agenda for today. We are going to move on to 9.2, review of the 2019-2020 Azusa Unified School District audit reports. And we have Shiloh Gorospi here with us. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I am guessing that I should share my screen unless you had a copy of the report that you were bringing up on your end, or should I screen share on my end?
Yes, if you could please screen share.
Okay,
thank you.
Give me 1 second. Okay, and hopefully everybody can see my screen now.
Can you make it a little bit bigger, just for those of us at home?
Sure. What I am sharing right now for you is really just a singular page in the audit report that does a great job of going over the results of the audit that are included within this entire report. You know, this is over a 100-page report, and I'm sure as much as some of you would like me to go through every page, I will summarize the results of the audit for June 30, 2020. And then, of course, I'm always happy to answer any questions that you might have after I cover the results. And the reason why I bring you to this particular page in the report is because within our audit, you know, for those of you who may be hearing this for the first time, our audit is designed to do really 4 specific things. One, we're providing you with an opinion on the financial statements that are presented in our report based on our audit, and our goal is to provide you reasonable assurance that they are materially stated. And so that's the first goal. The second goal of our audit is to provide you a report on the internal control structure over the financial reporting. This is a requirement under our government audit standards. And in that report, we are providing you any findings that we might come across during the course of our audit that we would classify as either a significant deficiency or material weakness. And then the third item that we do provide in the report is a compliance opinion on the federal programs that are operated by the district, as well as if there are any internal control deficiencies identified over the federal programs. And then the last but not least is at the bottom here, I'm scrolling, is the state compliance. We also offer you an opinion on compliance with various state programs that are required to be audited. So with that said, going back to the top, the auditor's opinion on the financial statements is considered an unmodified opinion. Now, what that means is that as presented, we believe the financial statements are materially stated based on our audit. It is the highest level of assurance that we provide in an audit, and it is considered a clean opinion. So the financial statements are fairly stated. As it relates to that second report on internal control over financial reporting, in that report, we are reporting a material weakness in internal controls. And the details of that internal control deficiency is on the next page. And I'll scroll to that in a moment if there are specific comments or questions on that. But mainly the results of that finding pertain to we did have audit adjustments and other errors that were identified during the year-end closing process that resulted in an audit adjustment, as well as just some other errors. So the material weakness identified relates to the internal controls over the year-end financial reporting and closing process. And then as we move into the federal programs, we are providing an unmodified opinion on compliance. Again, as I mentioned before, that means the same thing. It means that as presented, we do not believe that there is any non-compliance based on our audit. So that's a clean report on compliance. And we did not identify any internal control deficiencies related to the federal compliance. As you can see here down at the bottom of the screen, we identify for you the programs that were subject to audit under that federal program audit this year. And so your child nutrition program cluster, as well as the Title IV 21st Century Community Program. Those were the 2 audit programs that were specifically subject to this audit. And last but not least, the state compliance report is unmodified. So as a result of the various audit procedures that we perform over multiple state compliance areas that really are governed by the Department of Education and our audit guide that's issued by the Education Audit Appeals Panel, the State Controller's Office, we are mandated to audit very specific programs. So things such as how you report attendance, how your instructional minute calculations, if you have a after-school education program that's funded by the state, the unduplicated local control funding formula reporting. There's a lot of very specific programs that we have to audit. So that unmodified opinion means that we did not have any findings related to any of the state programs that were audited. And then I just wanted to scan to this page. So if you had an opportunity to review in advance and were wondering where the results of the finding that I mentioned related to the material weakness, this is where it starts on the very next page after what I just covered. So PDF page 108. And this really details out for you what I mean by those errors and adjustments that we included within the audit. When there are any other issues that do come to our attention as a result of the audit that don't rise to the level of a significant deficiency or material weakness, oftentimes these are items that pertain to maybe your associated student bodies where they don't represent a significant portion of the financial statements of the district, but we do think that there are just some things that we believe we should bring to management's attention. We do include them in this, it's really kind of the end of your report. It's a letter that's addressed to management for observations that, other observations that we come across, and then we include that in this letter as well. So like I said, these are just other areas where we might have some observations. Predominantly you'll see, ASB type of observations here. We do want to bring them to your attention, but we do not believe that they impact the financial statements as a whole. And that being said, I am going to leave my screen sharing up, but I mentioned I didn't want to go through 100 pages. Those are our results, but if there are specific questions or comments or concerns, I'm happy to take them.
Do you have any comments or questions from the board? I have a question. So this audit, how many times, so is it every other year? Is it every year? How many times does our district get audited like this? It's check and balance, so I would really like to know.
You are mandated to receive an audit every fiscal year. So, the district's fiscal year ends June 30, 2020. You usually receive your unaudited actuals sometime in September. And between September till the time we have to issue the report, which is normally December 15th, the state required deadline, we would complete the audit and provide the report. Everybody was granted an extension this year by the state because of COVID. And so we had a little more time this year to finish the audit and present the reports, which is why we're here tonight, as opposed to when we would normally come to the district in like December, January. So.
One last call. Anybody have questions, comments?
Board President, I could have a moment to just thank Shiloh and her team. I know she played an intricate part in my transition and understanding where we are, where we need to go. They've been very responsive, very attentive. I know we have work to do, but she had the foresight to identify areas of needs. We were able to collaborate on solution and vice versa. So I just wanted to publicly thank her.
Thank you, Latasha, for that. And Shiloh for being behind the scenes and helping Latasha, here in our district. And this is very, very important because it's our money, and making sure that we're spending it correctly and making sure that, like you just said right now, the what was it called? It was the
unmodified.
Unmodified, and that's where we want to be. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If there's no more questions, then we'll go ahead and move on to. So thank you, Shiloh, for being here. We're going to be moving on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our agenda item. We're 9.4, the approval of resolution number 20-2127, denouncing xenophobia due to COVID-19. Before we take a in an action. I think I would like to do this a little different. This resolution, one of the things that I want to do tonight is I would like all our board and our cabinet to go ahead and read this together. One of the things that I heard tonight from our community was that they would like the Azusa Unified School District, including the board and us, to take action. I know that all of us have shared tonight, board members, how differently that we're taking action on our own and being able to be part of the solution. So therefore, at this time right now, I would like to go ahead and start reading this. And as I call your name, if you can read the paragraph that is next, that would be great. If you would like to abstain, you can go ahead and do so as well. I'm going to go ahead and start. Azusa Unified.
Board President, can we have the, excuse me, can we share the document on the screen if we're
I'm sorry, yes. Hope, can we please share the document on the screen nice and big before we start?
Give me 1 second, I can do it.
No worries, thank you. I just want to express a sentiment on how, reading this together as a dais and as cabinet, that we are, committing ourselves to, not only are we just voting on this resolution, but we together are, together in unison, partaking in this, being able to read this off together, that we're partnering this, putting our differences aside, being able to go ahead and stand as unified as we meet, and that we're just not going to, do this in the boardroom, but outside of the boardroom as well. Let me know when you guys, it's there. Can all of you guys see it? And if you guys have, you guys can also open it into the PDF and on your computers. Okay. Is there anyone that needs more time? Okay, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start it. And as I call your name for the paragraph, we'll start with where, you'll start with whereas in that paragraph. Let me go ahead and start reading this resolution. Azusa Unified School District Resolution number 20-2127, a resolution on our commitment to the safety and well-being of our Asian American and Pacific Islander students, employees, families, and community members, and denouncing xenophobia due to fears of the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas Azusa Unified School District believes that we have a special responsibility to understand and intentionally work to eliminate racism in our curricula, our classroom cultures, and our relationship with our students, our parents, guardians, and each other, because our collective future depends on it. And Adrian, could you please read the next paragraph?
Whereas Azusa Unified School District celebrates the rich diversity of its school community and recognizes students, families, and employees of Asian and Pacific Islander descent who are valued members of the school district. And
we have board member Rodriguez Pena.
Whereas Azusa Unified School District recognizes the role of current events in teaching of tolerance and understanding and the value and strength of diversity. And
we have board member Shanoline Cruz Gonzalez.
Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander communities are suffering acts of discrimination, hate crimes, and macroaggressions due to fears of COVID-19. And
board member Bo.
Whereas scientists have confirmed that the COVID-19 disease does not respect borders, and the World Health Organization has cautioned against using geographic descriptors because they can fuel ethnic discrimination. And
Mr. Arturo Ortega.
Whereas Azusa Unified School District is especially aware of the trauma and isolation that is accompanying the COVID-19 global pandemic. And
Ms. Dana Mitchell.
Whereas Azusa Unified School District affirms its commitment to the safety and well-being of our Asian American and Pacific Islander community members and ensures that they are not alone and will be supported in helping to stop the spread of xenophobia. And
Mr. Jorge Ronquillo.
Whereas Azusa Unified School District stands in solidarity with our Asian American and Pacific Islander communities. And
Ms. Latasha Jamal.
Whereas Azusa Unified School District stands against discrimination among all persons, regardless of national origin, race, creed, gender, sexual orientation, and abilities.
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Azusa Unified School District Board of Education continue to support our Asian community and Pacific Islander community members and denounces any and all xenophobia related to COVID-19 and beyond. Be it further resolved that the Azusa Unified School District Board of Education calls on all residents and leaders to join in condemning racism, attacks against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in all forms, and be it further resolved that the Azusa Unified School District recognizes the tremendous contributions made by our Asian American and Pacific Islander communities and affirms its commitment to support to the social, emotional, and physical needs to all of our students. Today, we will adopt, today on the 13th day of April 2021 by the Board of Education, as we vote, we will be able to go ahead and carry this forth. I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion to approve 9.5.
I move.
We have a first by Board Member Sabrina Bowe. We have a second by Board Member Cruz Gonzalez. I'm sorry, Yolanda Rodriguez Pena. One thing, as we're getting ready to vote, I thank you guys all for coming together and standing as one, that we will not tolerate this, not in our schools, not in, with our employee, not towards our employees, and not in our boardroom. Therefore, at this point right now, we can all please cast our votes. And it passes 5-0. Thank you so much. As we are moving on, we are going to move on to consent calendar. And at this point, if we can get a motion to please.
No, 9.5.
President?
I'm so sorry. Yes.
We have a 9.5.
Point of order. Yes. Thank you for that. We have a 9.5 discussion of board self-evaluation. We can go ahead and have Arturo start this with for us.
Absolutely, thank you. Item 9.5 which is a discussion of board self-evaluation, was a request from one of our board members to have this conversation. I went ahead and took the initiative to attach our board bylaw that talks about just to have as a reference as you begin this conversation around self-evaluation.
Great. And so who would like to go ahead and start with this? Any of the board members would like to go ahead and start?
President Arianes, if I may just offer an opening comment.
Yes.
So Mr. Ortega, when I initially reached out to you on this, in your research, do I have it correct that when you looked into the files that the last time the board did a self-evaluation was in October 2016? Is that accurate?
That is the last time that I could find a board agenda item for a board self-evaluation, yes.
Sure. And then I'm looking to our two, veteran board members for kind of some perspective on, that process and what you've seen in other boards and kind of where we might start in getting back onto a cycle of board self-evaluation. Board Member Cruz Gonzalez and Board Member Rodriguez Pena.
Yeah, I mean, there's many ways. I mean, there's many ways to do it. I think it's been a while since we used to do it annually, but it was a long time ago. But I mean, so like, for example, CSBA has a tool that we can use. And we've done a process. Been through a process one time when it was just us, right? We just looked at our bylaws and our what's in our manual and use that to evaluate ourselves. I think it's really just up to what we feel most comfortable. I think generally it's always in an open session, regular session meeting. It's not, it doesn't happen in a like a governance retreat. I don't know. I find it better if we have a tool, right? I find it better if we have a tool that we start with like an individual just reflection and then use that to sort of do a group evaluation. I think that's what I've seen. I feel like it's been most effective when we do it that way. But I mean, I'm open to whatever process. I think it's a good thing to do annually.
Well, since I've been board, they have never did a self-evaluation. So I am not familiar with it other than, going to see SBA conferences that speak about it. But I do think it is important, since we hold everyone accountable in this district, students, staff, administration. I think we should do the same. I think it's a good idea.
Can I share something? So one of the things that, this board bylaw, it's the vision setting, the curriculum, personnel, finance, policy development. Even though we haven't had one in the last 2 years that I'm aware of, I know that we've come together as a district with cabinet, with directors, parents and we had a workshop. I don't know if you guys remember, board members, that we came and we created a vision, a new one, and we had like little hubs. Do you guys remember? We were here, I think it was in the CIRC, I'm not sure, but it was in the at the district. And we created a vision. We spoke about community relations. There was different groups, and it kind of reminds me of kind of what Mr. Arturo Ortega put together, that he actually was sharing with the board. What is this committee doing? So there was different committees that were made. One of them being, the relationship with the community. What can we do to improve that? The advocacy, our curriculum, our personnel, and so forth, the finance. And there was a committee for each one. Arturo, do you remember any of this?
Yes, that was facilitated by a consultant. Like President Arianes is saying, we had different stakeholders in the room, students, parents, staff, and in addition to creating a vision statement, we also created some action statements. And then we had to report to the board, I believe monthly, on what the progress was in those specific areas moving forward.
So I do want to suggest, and I mean, but I'd love to hear from everybody what to do. But I do want to suggest, I think it's really helpful to look at the CSBA governance standards, right? And I think that it's really helpful for us we do a lot of, I mean, it's important for us to evaluate outcomes based on what we do with Arturo's, the superintendent evaluation, with our annual goals, with the LCAP. But I think for it to be really effective for us as the board, right, we should be thinking about like, what are our roles, what are our governance roles, and setting those goals for ourselves so that then we can evaluate, like after a year, have we met those goals in terms of thinking about our collaboration, in terms of effectiveness of meetings, in terms of some of the things that Gabriela mentioned. I think it's helpful for us to focus on when we think about what we're supposed to be doing. Yolanda, you talked about being a policymaker, right? What are those things that we're doing, and are we? Let's measure ourselves against those things that we should be doing as board members.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. In reference to the meeting that we had, board president, I think that was a good work that we did. But I would suggest that's, though I haven't been a part of a board self-evaluation, I imagine that's separate and apart from a self-evaluation. And I think it'd be great to look at any tools that CSBA has in place, and how can we use that as a model to evaluate ourselves collectively as a board.
I just want to just clarify. I didn't want to say that to do that again instead of. I just want to clarify. I just wanted to share because Sabrina is new to the board, and I did want to share that that's something that we did. If that's something that she would like to take a look at, she's more than welcome to request. That, and so just want to provide that information for her. But no, I agree. I'm sorry, I cannot hear who's speaking.
Oh, sorry. I said the CSBA survey is a very long survey. Just thinking about like, I feel like if it's more focused, right, and we identify areas that we want to focus on, I think it's more effective. And I don't know, Sabrina, if you have just in your experience, professional experience, like seen other tools that you could use. I mean, we could, or Arturo, right? There could be tools that we use to really build what fits us.
I think in my work with schools and nonprofit boards, it's that focus of board self-evaluation has been also about board member composition, which is different than what we're doing here. That's been more about like, what skills do we want and who else do we need to recruit to the board? So that's not our work here. I think looking at the CSBA tools is a great place to start. It's criteria that has been recognized and adopted. And when you say that it's a long tool, are you suggesting that would it be a tool that we complete offline and that we bring it back and that's what we discuss, or we decide we're going to discuss items, sections 1 and 2 in our first, phase 1 of our self-evaluation? Would it be something like that?
So I don't know. So we actually started the process through the survey, right? We each individually did the survey, and then
I'm sorry, Board Member Cruz Gonzalez.
I keep on turning off my mic. Sorry. We completed the survey, and then we never got to the point where we came together and went through it. So I mean, my suggestion is maybe if there's a subcommittee of the board, like 2 people that are interested in sort of working with Arturo to develop a process, I think that would be really helpful, because it could move it forward. That would be my suggestion. If we can have 2 people will be willing to volunteer to take a lead on this, I think that would be very helpful.
I would be interested in participating in that kind of subcommittee.
I would be interested as well. And anybody else?
That's good.
Okay, so we have 2. Great. So we have.
And so is that technically, is that an advisory group not subject to the Brown Act because we have 2, or how does that work?
It's more than 3. Two of us can be, and we can talk about that.
Because it's ad hoc, so you're just going to meet like for a short time.
Okay.
And there's no official action.
We can call it an ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
I will move forward then and organize and collaborate with Board Member Bo and Board President Arellanes, and we'll come back to the board as a whole with our insights and our possible recommendations.
Great, thank you, Arturo. Do we have any more questions, comments, concerns for 9.5? Great, let's go ahead and move on with our agenda to consent calendar. Do I have a motion? Can I please get a motion to move 10.0 and all in the consent calendar? Can I get a motion to move consent calendar?
Make motion to approve 10.2 through 10.13 in the consent calendar.
Great. We have a first motion by Board Member Rodriguez Pena. Can I please get a second motion?
I second.
We have a second by Board Member Bo. If we can go ahead, do we have any comments, questions? Seeing that there's none, let's go ahead and vote. Okay, and it passes 5-0. Moving on with our agenda for tonight, we move on to business and finance. Move on to 12.1, approval of US Again contract with Foothill Middle School. Can I please get a motion to move 12.1?
So moved.
We have a first by board member Adrian Greer. Can I please get a second?
Second.
We have a second by board member Rodriguez Pena. Do we have any questions, comments, discussion?
Explain 12.2. I think it's a great idea.
Yes. So this will put a bin in front of the school where those
bin.
could donate, and then as long as it's clothing that could be reutilized and repurposed, the school will receive proceeds from the agency.
And how long do they leave the bin there?
We're going to do it for a year to try it out, just to make sure it's not also
year.
taken away from our curb appeal, and seeing how everything works out.
So what are you doing to that someone doesn't jump in there, or, you know, for safety issues? I mean, just it may happen.
That is a possibility.
Right.
So we're going to try this out to see, but it has a lid on it to prevent that. But someone could jump in there, and it would just be one of those that we would have to provide resources to assist to manage.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I have a question about that. This being in front of Foothill Middle School, would there be like hours of operation where people can come and drop off things?
No, this just stays open. It just stays open. There's no hours of operation.
Okay, great, thank you. And we'll be letting our community know that we will have this recycling in front of Foothill Middle School. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any more comments, questions, concerns? Seeing that there's none, if we could please place our vote. And it passes 5-0. Moving on to 12.2, the ratification approval of consultant Graciela Gardner, resolution number 20-2128. If I can please get a motion to move 12.2.
Second.
Okay, we have a first by board member Greer, and we have a second by Cruz Gonzalez. Does anyone have any comments or questions or concerns? Seeing that there's none, let's go ahead and cast our vote. Okay, and it passes 5-0. We move on to 12.3, approval of current solutions contract. Can I please get a motion to approve 12.3?
I make a motion to approve.
And that was by board member Cruz Gonzalez. Thank you. And a second by board member Rodriguez Pena. Any questions? Seeing that there's none, let's go ahead and cast our vote. Great, and it passes 5-0. Moving on to 12.4, approval of change order number 001, Azusa Unified School District, Gladstone High School, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning upgrades. Can I please get a motion to move 12.4?
Make a motion to approve 12.4.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first by board member Rodriguez Pena, second by board member Cruz Gonzalez. Any discussion? Seeing that there's none, let's please cast our vote. And it passes 5-0. Moving on to 12.5, approval of change order number 001, Azusa Unified School District, relocation of portable buildings at Gladstone Street Elementary School. Can I please get a motion to move 12.5?
Moved.
We have a
Second.
first by Board Member Greer. We have a second by Board Member Cruz Gonzalez. Any discussion? Seeing that there's none, if we could please cast our votes. Moving on to 13.0, curriculum and instruction. We start with 13.1, approval of the agreement between Azusa Unified School District and Disciplina Positiva. If we could please get a motion to move 13.1.
Make a motion to approve 13.1.
Second.
We have a first by Board Member Rodriguez Peña, a second by Board Member Greer. Do we have any discussion? I actually have a question. Mr. Arturo Ortega, could you please share with us what Disciplina Positiva is?
I'm going to go ahead and defer that to Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you. We actually have, I believe, Principal Antonio Flores from Paramount, who is here, who could answer a question about that. Lika, would you mind moving him over?
Yes, he's just moved over.
Okay, thanks. Principal Flores, are you online?
Hi, sorry. Good evening, everyone. I was having some technical issues. Good evening, Board President Ariana. Thank you for the question. So this Disciplina Positiva is actually a program, it's a parent workshop that focuses on supporting our parents during this pandemic, helping them, giving them strategies to assist their children to have them be successful academically, mentally, and emotionally during this pandemic. Mr. and Mrs. Orozco actually came to our school in November before we closed, and they did a sort of preview of their workshop. And our parent group was very, very excited to have them present at our school. So our goal was to continue with partnership with them, but then the pandemic hit and we closed. And so they've been working with us to get this workshop going with our families and helping to assess them to have success with their students as they're dealing with mental stresses, academic stresses during this time of the pandemic.
Great. And is this just for one of the schools, or is this for the district?
This is for Paramount.
For Paramount. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Any more discussion or questions? No. Thank you, Mr. Antonio Flores.
Thank you.
Okay, as a board, we can go ahead and cast our vote. And it passes 5-0. Moving on to 13.2, approval of the contract between Gladstone High School and Right Question Institute. Can I please get a motion to move 13.2?
I make a motion to approve 13.2.
At first by Board Member Rodriguez Peña.
Second.
And we have a second by Board Member Greer. Any questions? Discussion? Seeing that there's none, we can go ahead and cast our vote. And it passes 5-0. Moving on to 13.3, approval of the contract between Azusa High School and Leadership Inspirations. Can I please get a motion to move 13.3?
I make a motion to approve.
Board Member Cruz Gonzalez, can I please get a second?
Second.
Board Member Rodriguez Peña, any discussion? Seeing that there's none, if we can please cast our vote. and it passes 5-0. We have a 13.4, approval of the contract between Azusa Unified School District and Thriving U University. Can I please get a motion to approve 13.4?
So moved.
We have a first by Board Member Greer.
I'll second.
We have a second by Board Member Cruz Gonzalez. Do we have any discussion? Seeing that there's none, let's go ahead and cast our votes. And it passes 5-0. And that actually concludes our agenda. We are going to be moving to closed session, but at this point right now, I would like to go ahead and dedicate this meeting and this moment of silence to our dear friend, teacher, Mr. Dave Lewis. If we can go ahead and just bow our heads and just have about a minute or so, a moment of silence. Thank you guys for joining us in this moment of silence for Mr. Dave Lewis. And at this moment right now, our board and cabinet will be moving back into closed session. Thank you all for attending our meeting tonight. You're more than welcome to come back for us to close and adjourn. But if not, may all of you guys have a great night. Thank you. Good night. Here. I have, is it okay if we take like a 5-minute break? Are you guys okay with that? Okay, we can come back at 9:11. All right, thank you.
Am I the only one that's boiling? Are you fine? Are you fine? I'm fine, but it's my